It's coming.
Bueno. What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the South Star Classroom. I am your co-host, Omar Yanad. With us, got the magnificent foursome here. It's not a trio. This here be what they call them a quad. The quad shot of like you go to Starbucks, you get a quad, 4 shots of espresso. Because we are gentlemen here and our matriarch, our queen is with us. We're going to check in with her first. Ms. Ransom, how are you doing?
I'm doing quite well. Hello. Spring is springing. It's 80 degrees here and it's I'm feeling great. I'm feeling great.
80 degrees.
It's 80 degrees. I don't know how long it's going to last, but that's what it is.
Yeah, it's hot here today too. It's 80 here. I mean, we're probably gonna get a storm soon, but yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. So I was dressed for winter, so I had to figure that out this morning, but I'll take it. I have my toes out. I got my pedicure. I'm ready to go. If summertime weather wants to commit now, I'm good to go. Additionally, I am super proud of my oldest son, who, and I'm gonna send this to y'all in the chat too. And if any of our audience want to support, let me know. But he is a finalist in the campaign for student member of the board, which means that if elected, he will represent 130,000 students in Prince George's County. And as you know, he was on the show, so he's really passionate about like politics and representing, student voice. So he's taking it really seriously, and I'm super proud of him. They have about a week or so to campaign. Voting happens next week. And if he wins, he'll be a member of the Board of Education down here. He's running his campaign on just improving safety and facility, improving facilities in the district. So yeah, that's my child.
Nice.
Yes. So, but that's my check-in. How y'all doing?
Right on. Yes. We got with us the beard of knowledge, the beard of truth, the beard, ladies and gentlemen. He's got one, but more importantly, what he's got is a scowl on his face for the destruction of democracy. Brother David, how are you today, man? It's good to see you.
I am good. Good to see all of you. Excited about today's topic. Let's see where it, especially as the parent of a soon to be 16-year-old.
Yeah, dude. This hits home. Yeah. This hits home in a big bad way.
Yeah.
In other related news, David, I wanted to let you know that El Paso and its support of the Padres, because we are the AAA team to the Padres. We had a lot of Padres down here for opening day this past week. And I'm happy to report that a lot of very inebriated El Pasoans were very excited for this Padre season, as you're wearing your San Diego hat.
Oh, yeah.
And they exclaimed
the Colorado Rockies, and so we're about to take on the Seattle Mariners.
There you go. You went from the worst team to one of the best teams.
Yeah.
I mean, we got beef because the Cubs and the Padres met up last year, so we gotta maybe we'll get a replay of that.
I'd like to see that. Doc, how you feeling, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm happy that y'all are here. Good to see everybody. I'm interested in the topic. I was trying not to do the show before the show with you, Omar, but we kind of talked a little bit about it. So I'm with it, man. I'm juiced. Jubilee, I'm happy for your boy. I think you did send it to us. Now, are these kids having to run full paid campaigns? Because one of them was asking for some bread, and I'm like, wait, are they making these kids run actual campaigns with money? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, you can't. It's just certain people can't help, like there's people at their school and things like that. But yes, they can definitely campaign, fundraise, because they've got to get to school. So, for example, I had to take Sid to school way down in the southern part of the county, and there's 202 schools, so they're not going to make it to 202 schools in the next week. But the idea is to cover as much ground as possible, and you need to be able to Uber, you need to be able to print flyers and stuff like that. So yeah, they're doing all that. Social media ads, they're doing all of it. I'll send you
a lot.
Yeah,
that's a lot, but good luck to him. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for you, and I'm excited about today's show, man.
Thank you.
Right on. And I want to let Mama Toya know today's show, Mama Toya, because the grandkids in the audience will be significantly more curated and edited for their listening pleasure. So don't worry.
Mad at you last week, Charles, because
I mean, she sent the message to all of us in live. I mean, she said I gotta watch it later, but we lost all the grandma. She had brought the full grandma group came, and I just watched us lose like 8 people.
Yeah.
So
I need a heads up when I get the grandmas on the show. This is an unedited show. If I am to make an adjustment in my rants and language, because I need to know when to go from HBO to CBS. I treat this show like HBO, baby. I don't want to be edited. I like the First Amendment.
Omar,
I like using my words.
I think you should do your rants and cursing and do all that, but we'll bleep it. I'll edit it with.
Ooh, that's funny.
And I think that'll be even more impactful. I just think it'll be. I'm trying to produce you, brother. I've been trying for how long? How long, Jubilee? I've been trying to get him to do this.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's time we got to get it. Oh, and side note, my mom says hello to everyone. She's gonna. I sent her the link. She was like, because I want to see Omar do his rant, and then she was like, but tell all of them I said hi, because I can't, show favoritism to Omar because I know how much Charles loves me and David loves me.
See, I think she's taking a shot at us, David. It's okay. I know who Mama Ransom loves the most. Right. It's okay. I know in my heart that is me. But continue.
All right, y'all. So what are we talking about today? The title, War. Huh. What is it good for? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're in a war. And it's not to distract immensely from the Epstein files or distract immensely from the fact that Trump just posed himself as Jesus. Quite literally Jesus. You seen this one? I think everyone's seen this one.
Yeah, man. There's a demon walking behind them too, and it's like
correct
people behind them. It's like, bro, dude, you got to look at these things, bro.
And Trumpers are going crazy because they have equated this essentially with the coming of the Antichrist revelations. So with all this said, ladies and gentlemen, things like what we're discussing today on the show could get lost in the buried myriad of news stories. And the news story is we're going to talk today about the automatic, not even mandatory, just stone cold automatic registration of young men aged 18 to 25, could be 26, depending on the birthday, for military draft using government data instead of requiring them to sign up manually. So what does this mean? This change comes directly from the National Defense Authorization Act. And really what it is Doc and I were talking about, it used to be like, yeah, you got to go, you're 18, you got to sign up. Mm-hmm. That is not the case. They relaxed this law a bit in 2020. Mm-hmm. And what we saw was about, a 3% drop in the mandatory registration. Registration came at around an 80%. And this just came through that the Trump administration is pushing this forward and essentially is saying, nope, we're going to take all data, all the AI, all the crypto that we got. I'm joking, conflating stuff, and basically saying, yo, you're 18 to 25, you're going to be automatically registered for a military draft. Now, this does not mean that there has to be that there will be a draft. We'll get into that later in the show. A draft requires congressional approval. Let's just still hope that that is something that Congress still has the cojones to actually keep as one of their powers, because I got to tell you, this Congress has ceded their powers immensely to this president, which is something I'm not a particularly huge fan of. So why is this happening? Officials say it's about efficiency and we're going to save taxpayer money. That's usually just a bunch of garbage, in my opinion, but that's what they're saying. And it's because fewer young men have been registering in recent years. Timing's got to be an issue, man. Like we're in the middle of this Iran situation. The constant question is, are you going to put boots on the ground? And it doesn't look good, dude. Like JD Vance pulled out of negotiations in a day. Flew to Islamabad. Look, man, I think the flight to Islamabad might have taken longer than the amount of time
Probably.
our vice president, by the way, not our president, not Marco Rubio, not like our foreign diplomats, which I got to tell you, does anyone know where those cats were at? Just factually, does anyone know where Trump, Marco Rubio, and our leading diplomats were at while JD Vance, someone who knows pretty much nothing on foreign policy, do you know where they were at? Well, Vance Doggy Dog was negotiating with people in Islamabad for 16 hours.
Playing golf somewhere.
Worse. Way worse. A UFC fight. This is, I mean, you couldn't have seen, I mean, we saw it with Idiocracy, but man, like you can't even write this shit anymore. Sorry. Solomon Mama Toya, I'm going to keep my language in check today.
I don't even know if she's here yet. She ain't
I don't think she's here yet.
She might not be here. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Jubilee's mom just popped in, so we got that, you know.
Yay, we love her. You can't write this stuff. How do you have the U.S.'s main diplomats, including the Secretary of State, at a UFC fight? Well, JD Vance Doggy Dog is out in Islamabad negotiating for a whole 16 hours, ladies and gentlemen, one whole day. Don't know if people remember the peace accords that happened during the Carter administration and how long those lasted. Don't know if you all remember the disaster that was our involvement in Bosnia-Herzegovina and how long that took to patch up. But I will tell you, those talks took significantly longer than JD Vance's putrid 16-hour involvement. So being that as it may, we're in trouble here, folks. So this registration of 16 to 25-year-olds is a little worrisome to a lot of folks, because as peace talks start crumbling and Trump declares that we're going to put a blockade on the blockade, which I don't necessarily know what that means. I don't think he knows what that means. I think he pooped his pants in the middle of saying that, or Pete Hegseth farted in the middle of a press rally the other day, which was fun. What does this mean? It means that this could activate a draft significantly quicker. There is speculation that Congress could pass a draft in December, given all the turmoil that's going on with Iran. I mean, guys, just opinion-wise, I shouldn't be sharing opinions, I should be sharing facts. But like, dude, if you got the president and Marco Rubio like at a UFC fight in the middle of like these incredibly difficult and tumultuous negotiations, I think it demonstrates a ludicrous lack of care about our nation's kids. And it will disproportionately impact low-income Black and brown communities, for sure. Always does. So bottom line is that this could quickly mobilize people even though no draft is actually, quote, planned. Ooh. Just hot takes before we jump into questions here.
Don't piss me off.
I mean, yeah.
You know, get these ICE people. That's who you could send. That's who you could draft. Get them. Use them. You put all this stuff out there. I'm gonna get signing bonus, whatever.
Oh, that's a dope hot take.
Them. Take their asses. Make them sign up for the draft. People fight very good. You already have the people that you're looking for. Take them, please. My son gonna be 18 in less than 2 years. I mean, like, if this would still be in place, like, I really still think it needs to be voluntary. People do it because they want to, they need the money, they want whatever the perks are, but this is complete and utter BS. And you could just turn around the people that are in ICE and make them do this since they want to volunteer to serve their country.
It's a solid hot take.
Take ICE.
Doc, Dave, hot takes on this?
I'll go out the day.
Thoughts? Doc, you got it. I mean, Dave, you got a kid?
Yeah. I think what it comes down to for me is like the why. It's not clear to me, and I think it's probably not clear for many people in our armed forces as to like why we're doing what we're doing right now in the Middle East. So I think after 9/11, there was a big uptick in young people registering for the draft because, like, we've been attacked, right? We were attacked. And so you have a lot, and we ended up going and attacking the wrong country, but that's separate. So I always wonder, like if you're the average soldier that's being sent, most of our recent wars have been on the other side of the planet. So you have to leave the comfort of your home and your community, and you're, put in some kind of a position, whether it's combat or non-combat, of supporting some kind of military campaign. But I'm like, why? Like, for what reason? I mean, I think even back to like Vietnam. You imagine the average age of the American soldier in Vietnam was 19.
God, dude.
Years old.
That makes me shudder, dude. I remember being 19 going off to a foreign country.
And so you imagine like what the hell? What are we doing here? Fighting in the swamps and the jungles and the tunnels of Cu Chi, and like why are we here? Oh, we're fighting communism. Sure. Are you really fighting communism? Right. Are you really fighting for the freedom of the Iranian people? Do you know anything about the country of Iran and its history? I mean,
Ted Cruz didn't. Interestingly enough,
clearly. So
he
I think
got roasted by
like,
Tucker Carlson about it.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm not anti-war. I think if our shores are attacked, we definitely we need to be able to respond. But I'm just not seeing that now. And I think it's, they're going to have a hard time recruiting people going forward. And, maybe this is an attempt by the government, by the Trump administration to, ease up the process so they can, have easier access to information on young people. Dude. So when they do decide to pull the trigger, they know exactly who they're dealing with. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
that's what's up, Doc.
Yeah, I think I want to make sure that I don't want us to conflate two different things versus like this automatic signing you up for armed services, which again, I didn't know that they stopped, right? Like I was required to sign up. If you're a male in the country at 18, especially if you're trying to go to college or you need anything federal, or get an ID in California state by state, you have to sign up. I didn't know until you brought the article up that this topic up, that they relaxed it in 2020 and saw the dip and saw people leaving. But I don't want to conflate that with the fear and potential of a draft coming back, which I remember when Bush was president, there was a lot of fear around that time as well because I was of that age, and you know, I have a brother. I'm also a military kid, right? So my dad and uncle are Marines. My uncle was Vietnam and Marine. My dad is a Marine, and my brother is Army, 2 tours in Iraq, 1 in Afghanistan. And my nephew is currently serving right now, right? My nephew is currently overseas now. So I want to make sure that people watching us are getting the facts, like that this part of it is the only new part is that it will automatically be done for you as opposed to you having to register to do it and then or whatever. Now, are we talking about that? Or now we could talk about the crazy man in office that is making poor decisions about where to deploy people, but I don't want people to leave the show and be misinformed that we're saying that this is a draft that's happening and it's about to automatically happen. But since my entire life, you've always had, as a male in the country, you've always had to declare at 18. So, and I guess, what'd you say, was it 3% dip of people that just have not been doing it? So,
right.
Yeah. So,
right.
I mean,
exactly. Still over 80%. I think and I'll answer both those questions. And Doc, I know you're serving it up. Good producing, by the way.
Oh, it's all good.
On one hand,
I'm also, like I said, military family. So I got
everyone wants
all the
to.
Marines out there.
Yeah, everyone wants to hear, I think, our opinions on where the White House or this country is actually thinking in terms of this chaos. Because I'll tell you, just from a personal stance, one of the things that I really love about this particular show is that you've got 4, you 3 much more so than I, but 4 well-educated individuals who do their research, truly think before they talk, and formulate an opinion that we say, this is an opinion, post
Right.
Here are the facts, and we try to clarify that so our audience walks away educated, as is our jobs as educators. The extraordinary amount of misinformation, disinformation. I mean, my God, if I were elected president, I think one of the very first things I would love to do is bring back the federal subsidy to news. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I would basically be like, you know what? This is over. Fox, you're done. MSNBC, you're done. CNN, you're done. Just the core CBS, ABC, NBC as 3 channels. 3 of you get subsidized Walter Cronkite days, and you're giving out factual information because no one knows what's real and what's not anymore. And I think that's an extraordinarily difficult situation. So on one end, Doc, I think it's important for you to share your thoughts about what's going on in the White House. But B, I think it's incredibly important to demonstrate, yes, but what is the difference between the enrollment that was happening when you and I were doing this and David was doing this, as opposed to like an automatic enrollment? Because a lot of people think that that's a bit of an encroachment. What they're saying is like, this is now surveillance state, and being like, yo, like, if I choose not to do this, like, you know, Bill Conrad has said multiple times, like, we ain't seen Barron sign up, you know, or faking bone spurs. And it leads into the first question, Doc, which is like, A, what is the difference between an automatic enrollment? But B, how does that shape how Black and brown kids are thinking about their future? Because I got to tell you, it's going to be Black and brown kids that are going to be registered first if there is a draft. And do we think that this could be disproportionately affecting them?
Yeah, I think it'll be disproportionately affecting them and poor people in general. It's a lot of corn-fed white boys that get sent to, that go to, right? Like, that was
let's talk about that.
That was one of the things. I mean, Appalachia, all that, like, you know, when I was talking to my brother, there was a lot of people. I mean, there was a lot of fights and things like that. But when y'all are in a war together, you know, it kind of brings you together. I think it's going to be definitely more so along the lines of income on this one, because it's just so many more white people than it is Black people. Now, brown, I think brown will see. We've never had this many brown people with this size of like conflict happening, where a potential draft is on the table. So, for instance, when Vietnam happened, we just didn't have as many brown folks. We had some, but it wasn't as many, right? Yeah, man. I think that the guy that's at the head of it is crazy. And I think that, you know, and when you're a soldier, you have to honor the commander in chief, which is what the president is. And that's some tough decisions there to make. And I think we've been in terrible wars before. I think you know, when we invaded in 2002, I think like David said, that was the wrong war, you know. And normally if you sign up, you're going somewhere. So just for people out there that don't know, our armed forces are, I think we are in more than 150 countries right now. And you know, and if you're a Marine, you might get I think my dad did Germany. I mean, we occupy all the time, right? Like we're occupying right now. But I think that the nervousness is he's so volatile that we haven't had to really worry about a draft or a draft return since 9/11. Because I remember the fury then. I remember Eminem having in a song like talking about it like, yo, I'm 28. They're gonna take you before they take me. Like, you need to know who your president is. And I think with this guy that thinks he's a king and think he can make like these unilateral decisions,
I think he thinks he's Jesus.
Well, and I think people have good. I think people have good cause to worry. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to separate it. But as a part of this country since Vietnam, I forget what year it was. If you are a man, you have been required to sign up for armed forces. And so I think that's the thing. I think that it is, if you are poor. Now, I asked my uncle, I think I shared this here. I thought my uncle was drafted. He said, no, I wasn't drafted. I signed up. And most of the black people that was in his, you know, in his unit signed up. And it was times, and they didn't have a lot going. And, you know, and it was kind of a good deal for them in certain ways, right? And so I was surprised by that. But I do think you have a better armed forces when you have people that want to be there being there, you know, as opposed to like being forced to go and people having to run and do all this kind of stuff. So it's interesting, man. But I'm a bit nervous about who the guy is at the helm. I really am. But I also wanted people to know, because I can tell a lot of people don't deal with the military, don't have people in the military. Like, if you sign up, you're going somewhere. You're going somewhere, whether we're in an active war or not. But usually it's a little different than these circumstances. So,
right on. David, Jubilee, you guys want to chime in? I mean, I got all the things to say about this shit.
Go for it. I'll throw it back to you.
Go ahead, Omar.
No, man. So my worry is that this is yet another demonstration of the state and this particular administration jamming down our throats this technological component that gets rid of, I would argue, say it's not even a privacy thing or a choice thing. It's just like, yeah, we're going to do this. And the way that it was snuck into this bill was kind of creepy in terms of the automatic registration. And they always say, well, it's like for taxpayer stuff. I'm like, no, man, it's creepy. It was creepy the way that it was done. And I understand, Doc, you and I are policy nerds. We know that writers get stuck into these bills left and right. We know that things get snuck in. But I got to tell you, like, I don't have a lot of trust right now in this government. I don't have a lot of trust in their motives. And I can smell where the money is going in terms of this conflict. And without any unequivocal doubt, I know you were trying to be careful when you said we invaded the wrong country with Iraq and so forth. But like, I love pointing out the like insane level of hypocrisy when people talk about, well, we went in there and we stopped this tyrant. I'm like, well, why aren't we stopping the tyrants in Sudan? Why aren't we stopping the mass genocide that's going on in the Congo? Does anyone even know what's going on in like half of the countries in Africa? But like, it's never reported on the news. Sadly, Americans don't know about it. Americans don't give a shit about it. If they knew about it, maybe they would give a shit. But I give a huge shit because I think it's insanely hypocritical to be like, we're stopping like this tyrant and like the war crimes. And I'm like, man, take a look at what's going on in like Sierra Leone. Take a look at what's going on in Libya. Take a look at what's going on in South Africa. Like apartheid is still affecting areas of South Africa, man. For Christ's sakes, it's 2026, and I think apartheid lifted in like 1993. Look at Sudan. Look at South Sudan. Look at the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Look at Rwanda. Look at the Congo. Two totally separate countries. Holy crap. The level of insane hypocrisy to say that this is about a tyrant, what complete and utter bullshit. Like, that is insane. We didn't bomb the wrong country. That was Dick Cheney going there and simply saying, this aligns with America's ability to maintain its position of power over other countries. Because if we control the oil and we control the currency, then we can control the world. And I often feel that this Iran situation is similar. And in addition to that, you sent punk ass JD Vance to go negotiate? Like, you said the hillbilly eulogy guy who knows squat about Iran, the Middle East, foreign policy, diplomacy, culture, anything to do with the Middle East to go negotiate. No wonder he packed up his bags after like a coffee in Islamabad and came home. Talk about a guy who's outclassed, outwitted, dumb as shit. I don't care that anyone's like, oh, he went to Harvard, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that punk with his dumbass book, he's a puppet. I know a lot of cats that got shooed into Yale and Harvard because they were the political puppets and of like controlled puppets to be like, go get this pedigree so that we can control you. Shit, half of the Supreme Court is like that right now. You're going to tell me that we sent our best while Marco Rubio and President Trump were out having a good time eating popcorn at a UFC fight? And we're talking about black and brown kids getting sent to a war they know nothing about? Yeah, man, how do I think this is going to shape their future? Talk about less trust, less transparency, and less desire. Because, Doc, when you talk about people signing up, at least they signed up. This is not even coercing. This is just straight up sentencing. And I got to tell you, man, it's low income kids as well. Because while I was not and have not been in the military, I want to make that very clear. Boy, oh boy, I got a whole lot of friends that have been very high ranking in the military, and I hear what's going on. And look, my boy, I don't want to name names. He'll be like, look, man, 95% of the time, it's, military work is not conflict driven. It's just taking care of soldiers, like taking care of their lives, taking care of their daily lives. Like, we're just out here trying to live. But boy, oh boy, when conflict does happen, who gets sent out there? Disproportionately black and brown kids, man.
Well,
and
it's about
worries me.
It's about 65% white though, right? Like, so I will say that it's just because of the sheer numbers, right? Again, military people. And Nicole is in here, and I remember when I met Nicole and her son, when he was still in high school, and he ended up doing boot camp and serving or whatnot. You go to one of those graduations, it's going to be mostly white people because of the numbers, right? But I get your point is not lost. I just want to make sure it's about 65% white. The armed forces is about maybe 20% black, which proportionally you still are right? That's a higher proportion because the country's only 13% black, right? So if it's a higher percentage that means there's an over representation. Again, I hate being this nerdy dude, right? But
not being nerdy, man. That's the point of like educating the peoples.
Well, that's what I'm saying. My brother, my nephew, my father, my uncle, and I was gonna go. And so I took my ASVAB. I was gonna go into the Marines, and we were negotiating my contract. And my dad was like, "Hey, man, you got into college. You can do this if you want. Like, it's a good career. Like, if you want to be a lawyer, because at the time I wanted to be a lawyer, so I was exploring being a JAG."
Oh, right on. That's cool, actually.
Yeah, I was exploring it. And he was like, man, you got in, we got you some money. I think you should do this. And then next year we had, the war, and my brother, knowing that, he still went, right? So again, I don't rock with nothing that Trump is talking about. I don't rock with any of this. I do think, regardless of the president, at some point there will be a physical clash with Iran. It's been simmering for too long. And they make a lot of big threats and claims. But I don't feel comfortable with who the commander-in-chief is. I don't think that his head is on straight, and I think that he would make some decisions that make him feel more like a king, that make him feel more like a ruler. So I'm not in support of this cat at all, but obviously with my family ties and those things and people that I support, I want to make sure they're gonna make sure I get this right. I don't want to have to, I don't want to have to go back and look at my uncle and he'd be like, you know better than this. Go ahead. So, but I agree with you.
Yeah, man. But I appreciate that distinction, man. And like, look, to your family and everyone else, like, I give incredible credence to those who sign up for military service. But I even think those who are in the military service are looking at, Cicero or Caligula right now and wondering what their fate is going to be like, because he just, homeboy just fired the entirety of the military. Yeah. Oh yeah. You hear about this one? He basically got rid of like most of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and fired anyone at the top levels and echelons of the military that disagreed with him because they were like, hey man, maybe you want to rethink this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, Cicero / Caligula just decided to get rid of very intelligent military officials in lieu of his loyalists.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take a step back. Dave, thoughts?
I know Dave is in San Diego, man. He's in military town. So
yeah, I mean, let's see. A couple of thoughts. Going back to JD Vance's like horrible weekend. Not only did he go to Pakistan to like, crash out on a deal, but before that he was in Hungary campaigning for Orban, who also
just lost his ass.
Right. So dude, how was your weekend? How productive was your weekend?
Right.
But on again on the military thing, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like the situation where, like, are we in like I hate to use a sports analogy, but like, are we like in a running out the clock situation here with Trump?
Right.
Thinking about a scenario where
that sounds like what's that comic, brother?
Which one?
Doc, come on, man. The most Watchmen.
Oh, Watchmen. Got you.
Yeah, man. They're running out of the clock, David.
Oh, yeah.
So
the end is nigh.
So I mean, so if he's gone in 2 years, like how these things get reversed, I would assume. Not just the military stuff, but like, so many of his other executive actions, right? Yeah. But you kind of have to plan for the worst case scenario, because there were a lot of people that didn't think this guy would get elected the first time, and then even more people that didn't think he was going to get reelected, and he did.
Yeah.
So it just keeps on going. So I think there's an opportunity here for that young people are aware of what's going on, that it's not a draft.
He froze right at that point.
Yeah, you did freeze.
Okay, am I back?
The last thing we heard you say was that is not a draft. That is not a draft.
Yeah, that's not a draft. You could consider it like moving in the direction towards a draft. I don't think they'll ever fully implement a draft without, unless we're like attacked like on our home soil. But it is, there
are rumors.
I'm sure. But I think it's something that we're just going to have to like look out for. Again, I don't know what the motivation of the average soldier is right now. I mean, they don't do like survey data, like on a scale of 1 to 10, how clear are you in terms of the current mission? This guy's doing a lot of damage, and I think he's also doing a lot of damage now to the morale of the average soldier, Marines, Army, Air Force, Navy, because it's very clear these young people, and when I say young people, I'm talking even the 20s and 30s, are out there sacrificing life and limb. We've had casualties. We have a lot of injured soldiers. And there's also, what you don't see just by going into the quote unquote theater of war. These people that they're going to have different levels of trauma coming home, PTSD, all of this stuff. We've been through this, and the whole cycle of how many veterans have you all met that are in their 30s, that are on psych meds because they were in Iraq and just exposed to war and bombs and violence, and so
extreme stuff, man.
Yeah, man, it messes your life up forever. You never get it back. And so, the reason I'm bringing this up is because then you have the juxtaposition of the Trump administration having, lavish weekends at Mar-a-Lago, golfing with opulent. It's like a freaking movie,
Wow.
It's like look at the king. Look at the king. He's living like a king, living high off the hog, and these people are out there, and not even talking about here, people that are struggling just to get by outside of the military conversation. I started volunteering in the last couple of months because I needed something to do, with some of that energy that I had. And so I've been volunteering on a regular basis at a local county food program, giving out food to people. And,
wow.
It's almost like every Thursday with a 2-hour window, we had 1,000 cars come through. And it's mostly older immigrants, man, really 70, 80-year-old immigrants, Latino, people from the Middle East, people that are here because of our previous wars in the Middle East that then have to come here because their whole way of life gets disrupted.
Or their homes got bombed, bro.
Exactly.
Half of southern Lebanon and Beirut is just bombed to smithereens right now.
Yeah, it's chaos, man. It's chaos. And what did Trump say the other day? He's like, we can't provide, we can't provide healthcare for people. We can't provide early education for young kids. I'm like, you judge a society. If you had two things to judge a society, how does it treat its young and how does it treat its elders? Right.
Yeah.
Under this current administration, we would get a very clear F. And so it's not just what's happening overseas with, these wars, but literally throwing our economy into a tailspin, and people are feeling it, man. It's they just recently did another cut of food benefits for people, the Trump administration. And I'll tell you what, from last Thursday's food drive to the one 2 weeks before the cut, the lines were longer last week. People are feeling it, and it's just chaos, man. It's chaos. And so, I think he's going to do what he does really well. It seems like he's sabotaging himself. He picked a fight with the Pope.
Oh yeah. We should talk about that too.
You don't play with the Pope, man.
We talk you picked a fight, not just with the Pope, who also happens to be American. You picked a fight with the Vatican?
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Look, I'm not going to touch that one with a 10-foot pole on this show or any other show. I'm just saying, when you have an entity who has been essentially the root of power for the last 2,000 years. And yes, as a historian, ladies and gentlemen, you can basically date it back to 320 AD when Constantine created the Holy Roman Empire. But I'm including the Roman Empire in my calculation of this attainment of power, because the Roman Empire became the Holy Roman Empire, became the Vatican. You are messing with a very very interesting entity that I wouldn't mess with. I mean, that is yeah, that's exactly right, Doc. I'd grab you know, like, woo.
Oh no, well, it's 80 plus degrees right here.
Julep for the fact that you decided to mess with the Vatican, because that is some really interesting adversarial stuff.
Well, the ironic part about both of these, right, is like this military thing does kind of hit home in a lot of different ways, and then this this Pope thing. I live in the town. The Pope is from a few blocks away from here, so we got all these people here, and you know, it's just really interesting, man. But I think, all this stuff, though, man. Again, I think because of who's in charge, all these conversations take me an extra 5 minutes to add context to instead of just giving thoughts, right? Like, again, my nephew is serving right now. You feel me? Like, and I have a love-hate relationship with the vet, you know, with the VA. You know, and I have to deal with the VA both for my father and my uncle, who are both, they're Asian, man. I'm at that age where, you know what I'm saying? And they've been terrible in some ways, but you know, right now, my uncle is moving right now, and the VA is kind of helping, and my dad is injured. So he's like participating in these VA vet games, right? Like it's like an Olympics for them. So there's just a sense of pride that these people have, and they don't want to go to do senseless wars, but there's also a thing that has to take over when you're a soldier. Like it's something that has to click, you know what I'm saying? Like in order for you to go over and do this stuff. And I think like, I feel like you feel, David, where it's like, yo, I'm glad we live in a place with the strongest military. Hopefully it's still the strongest military in the world. You know what I mean? Like it matters. It does matter. But you don't want to just throw that weight around uselessly. And when you have somebody who is attacking not just the Pope, but the first an American Chicago Pope, because your ego is in the way, man. Like you're putting yourself in the crosshairs of your own base, bro. Like when you showing yourself as Jesus, bro. Listen, man, I'm Christian, bro. Religions don't play when you mess with their leaders like that. Like, and I'm Christian. You do not make images of Jesus Christ, positive or negative. It's just a no-no. But you think your ego's so out of control, or the people that made it, because I know he didn't make it, but like the people are so afraid of you, or they just know your incessant need to be praised constantly, that somebody made this about you. It's just rough, man. It's just really rough. And I don't know and this generation is different. I think this will be the toughest generation of all time to recruit for a war if we get to a place where we really have to go to war. I mean, that's why they've been talking about this through the grapevine. Have you heard about them raising the age limit to like 45 of when you can serve? Because we just don't have, there's always been a core in this country, however you feel about them regardless, that have been willing and wanting and seeing the honor in serving. And he has found a way to roll that back. And I just think it's an honor in most places to serve your country. And whether it's in the armed forces or the Peace Corps, you know, all of us have done some type of service work, right? Like if you do a nonprofit, or you in education, or you in social work, like that's a part of service, like here, right? And I just think this man's ability to roll that back in these ways, it's astounding to me. And like, I hate this incessant need in producing, right, of like having to be factually correct, because I have things that I want to say, but I had to make sure we were on there right first. But dude is wild. It is trying to wait him out, David. But also, is this just the Republican Party right now? If it is just another Republican, like will they come in on the same vibe? I don't know. I don't know. So I think I love today's topic because it's making me take pause and think about this in a lot of different ways. And I know all of us probably got somebody in the military or tied to the military in some kind of way. And we want to say that with pride, you know what I'm saying? And it's just, it's wild.
Or Bliss, El Paso, man, it's a huge military town. The thing
Diego,
is, like, exactly, man. I think when it comes down to like not just black and brown kids, but kids who are in the military, people who are in the military, right? We want to make sure, and if I was like president tomorrow, I'd be like, these are people's lives. And I want to make sure that the service that they've committed to is one in which is advancing, I think, the needs of not just Americans, but really a globalized peace.
Mm-hmm.
And when you got a dude who's essentially A, going after the Pope, B, Bibi Netanyahu has something on him. You know it. Like this ludicrous amount of work. And I want to make sure that I really say this carefully, because I want to make sure our audience understands this. I want to create this triangle here. You've got the Jewish diaspora and Jewish people, okay? You've got Israelis, a solid group of people, a few of which I had the honor of going to school with, who are absolutely ready for a two-state program, absolutely empathetic of the Palestinian people. I knew true Israelis. I still know them. They're my friends who have no desire whatsoever to engage in the kind of systemic genocide that Bibi Netanyahu, so the top triangle, are basically Bibi Netanyahu and the far-right factions of the Israeli government. I got to tell you, Netanyahu is in power on, I don't want to say a fluke, but just under a far-right regime of complete Zionist ideology that does not correlate with the Israelis, that does not correlate with the Jews. And you got to ask yourself, what in the world does Bibi Netanyahu have on Trump? That Trump is, for all of his shitting in his pants and comparisons to Jesus, which I'm like, man, isn't that the first commandment? Like, isn't that the second commandment? I mean, I think this guy has broken every commandment on the table, Old Testament and New Testament, the 11th commandment. But like, whoo, man, this is getting nuts. And the fact that not only am I worried about our kids, but my God, dude, when I think about the military and those that serve, billions of dollars going into this that could otherwise be going into the VA, that could otherwise be going into education, that could otherwise be going into things. I honestly think that this president does not care about people, not care about anyone else, has some level of blackmail stuff that Bibi Netanyahu's got on him that is forcing the hand into Iran. And when I think about our young women and men in the armed services, that's what worries me. What are the motives in which your commander-in-chief in this administration, including Pete Hegseth, who I can't say enough about, man, it is a disgrace that he went to the Kennedy School. I don't even remember him. We got contacted by the Kennedy School to be like, yo, can you tell us anything about this guy? And I was like, he was at school with us? Like, this guy was so insignificant in school with us that we have no idea who the hell he was. And we knew everyone in that school. And this motor mouth is literally in a position of power, who did nothing, by the way, to help with this entire negotiation, Islamabad. It makes me incredibly worried. Not to mention the fact that this is also affecting, my home country of Lebanon. I've been dying to go for the first time, dying to see it. And I'm like, hey, when's a good time to go? And now like half of Beirut and the entire southern proportion is getting bombed. And now Israel wants to annex southern Lebanon to boot. This is some World War III type shit, Doc. It's worrying me, man. And bottom line is, it worries me for these young men and women in the military. What are we sending them into?
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, David, I know, like I said, you out there, and I had a question for you guys. It's probably going to get an answer away, but, like the strongest public education system in the country, who owns that? Like, who has it? I'll do that at the end. But, I mean, just from your perspective, again, being in San Diego, you probably, out of the three of us, I mean, they by far has the largest military population there. How are you? What are you seeing anything? Or, a lot of those kids are probably going to go there. I mean, you know, they always recruit in schools. It's just a thing that happens. But what are you seeing just from your perspective, if anything? You might not be saying anything at all, but you know, I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not seeing like too much, but what I am seeing, and something that is different here than what we would see, say, like when I was in the Bay Area, are at, you know, community events and or even like school events, like football games. You know, we actually have, you wouldn't call it like recruiting, but you know, the Army's there, the Marines are there, the Navy's there, Air Force is there. They've got booths set up, you know, next door to you know, whoever's selling kettle corn and stuff like that. So, you know, it's definitely like it's, the military is so like ingrained and interwoven with the kind of culture of San Diego. We used to be a much larger military town. We're still a big military town, but you know, they have shut down a couple of the different bases here locally. But you know, we've got North Island, we've got Miramar, we've got you know, they brought in the astronauts that went up in Artemis too. You know, they brought them, you know, they obviously splashed down off the coast. It was a Navy operation that brought them into the Bay to a nuclear sub facility that we have here. So it's, you know, it's all over. And you know, going to school, I went to school with a lot of kids that had parents in the military, and they moved around a lot. Like sometimes they'd be like, "What happened to Charles? Oh, they're gone." You know, "What happened to Omar? Omar moved." You know, because you know, and I have family in the military to this day, and you know, they're like living in Nebraska, then they're in like Illinois, and then they're in Florida, and I was like, how do you do that with your kids? You know, but
in South Korea,
yeah. When you commit to it, that's what you do. And so I think my comments are not like a critique of the military. I agree that, like, you know, the best offense is a good defense, right? The best offense is
best defense is a good offense. Wait,
the best defense is a good offense.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I think, you know, the way that we're playing it now, like just going after, you know, I mean, it's insane. You know, we went after we're blowing up boats in the Caribbean, right? Threatening to take over Greenland, threatening to take over Cuba. Pretty much took over Venezuela. Now we're in the Middle East. You know,
yeah. Didn't like, Trump say that he wanted to be the interim president of Venezuela? That one's fun.
That too. That part too.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean,
good times.
I think the only good news here is that, and again, I don't know how that, like, there's something broken in the system. You know, and we didn't really talk about it that much, but something I would like to, the last war, what was the last war that a president actually made a formal declaration to Congress on? Was it Vietnam?
We do that anymore.
Nope. Two. Korean was not a declaration. Vietnam was not a declaration. Iraq was not a declaration. World War II was the last outright declaration.
Yeah.
So, you know, you have this system that's supposed to have checks and balances built into it, but when it comes to war, you know, whether it be, you know, JFK or you know, whoever, you know, Obama, the Bushes, you know, and Trump, you know, they figured out a way to skirt the actual approval in Congress, and you know, they're able to allocate resources and funding.
Yeah, that's actually a show of itself, David.
Yeah, and that's like, that totally goes against the premise of checks and balances, you know. And so you just have to sit around and be like, well, what are we going to do about it?
Yeah.
You know?
Look, man.
I mean, we could do a whole show on the secession of power to the United States president. I think I actually wrote a huge paper on it at some point. Because
I don't know if y'all watched Sicario. The first one of my favorite movies, man. But it shows you, like, we got to operate like this. Like, we got to do this thing to deal with Mexico and do this, and you know, these rules. I will say, one of my little fun facts, though, the strongest public education system in the United States by far is led by the United States Department of Defense. If you look at NAEP scores, and it's because all of their education. I have suggested to districts that they look at how and why that is, but it's because, as David said, they're so transient and they're so all over the place. You have to have it in a certain way, but those kids can read and do math. But it's interesting, man. I think it's complicated. I think you did a really good show, Omar, because again, I have really strong feelings about the guy there. And I think, but because of who I know and care about, I had to make sure that I didn't come off as flippant on this thing. I really respect our military, and I know a lot of people, it is what it is.
Yeah, no, man, I love making that distinction, Doc, because it's one thing to make the distinction about the men and women in our armed services. Another distinction to talk about the fact that, like, the amount of respect I have for people who are leading the military, who are fired, by the way, back in 2025, who are brilliant people who've been there for a while, who either were like shuttled away because they weren't loyalists. Like, I had immense respect for them too. And the people like Pete Hegseth, the guy, dude, I literally am still thunderstruck that this like Fox News piece of like human vomit is in the position that he's in.
Right.
And like Marco Rubio, who should have been in Islamabad negotiating things, is literally like with a pennant cheering someone on at a UFC fight. Like, it's deplorable, bro. The people that we care about are being led at the highest levels by some of the most deplorable pieces of shit on the face of the planet. And it's why I make that distinction between Jewish people, the Israeli people, and then the head of the Israeli government. I like making that distinction because I do not want to conflate them.
Yeah,
right.
For sure.
Yeah. I did my
man.
I talked a lot.
Yeah,
I didn't know David got his in, but I thought it was a really good show, and I think it was I got a lot of people that's tied up into this stuff one way or the other.
Yeah.
And again, my own brother, he got stop loss. I think I said y'all this, stop loss twice. And the reason why stop loss is, I think I explained stop loss to you guys. Everybody here knows stop loss? Stop loss is what prevents us from having to do a draft. So a stop loss is if David signs up for the military, his contract, he signs up for a 4-year contract. He can sign up for 4 years, but the military still has rights to him, I think, for 8 years after. So that's just, but it's been like that, right? Like, so, but that's why we don't have to do a draft or anything like that. Cause it's like, oh, David, you think you're about to come home, you get your papers beforehand. It's like, hey, we actually need to deploy you again. It's in your contract, right? But my brother got stop loss twice. He did 2 tours in Iraq, 1 in Afghanistan. He was only supposed to do 1 tour. So again, there's a lot of shit that goes with all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I'm not as worried about a draft, just because I know that I know the things that's there, and we have a lot of people in the military, but I am worried. I think the military is getting some of the lowest interest marks that it's had, I think, in my lifetime. And I think that's a problem. And I'm a fan of basketball. I don't know if y'all know who Lauri Markkanen is. He's a really tall white dude, but he plays for Utah. But we are a country. There's about 80 plus countries that require your service. He had to leave the NBA and go serve, and then he came back, right? Like, it's just, they have to do their service. And I do think in our country, I do think you should do 2 years of service, not necessarily military. I think it's like, whether you're teaching or you're doing the Peace Corps, like, I think that those things are strong bedrocks for a place, but it makes me sad or afraid if somebody's signing up to serve their country and then you getting put on dummy missions, that just for pride and ego. I think we got to be better than that. And that's where I'll end my piece. But this is a great topic, and there's a lot of layers to it.
Can I read a quick statement?
Please.
As we close out.
It's our show, man. Do what you want to do here.
So good luck to Trump and the GOP. Without Catholics, Muslims, anti-war voters, fiscal hawks, immigration hawks, prospective home buyers, anybody who wanted the Epstein files, anybody who watches Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones, Megyn Kelly, and Candace Owens. So good luck to them, right? But hey, at least they're popular in Israel. That was a tweet by Nick Fuentes with 3.5 million views from a couple days. Yeah.
Wow, man. This wow. It's a
Yeah,
lot, man.
I mean, I'm telling you, we live in fascinating times. Like, you've got so much going on. All of a sudden, they're discovering all these like pyramids and shit. I'm like, what, man? Like,
Dude,
I think Bill Maher
aliens,
said it
bro,
best.
like, no, aliens have like been officially
Yes.
announced, bro. And
Yes.
the dude is so
Yes.
wild and crazy
Yes.
that we don't even,
Yes.
we haven't even stopped to
Yes.
talk about it because there's so
Yes.
much shit. Like,
Yes. Yes.
It is
I mean,
confirmed,
honestly, I think maybe like, look, man, I set the topic about private colleges shut what was it, like a third of private colleges shutting down. Maybe we should do a whole episode on the fact that like it's been officially announced that they've been here for a long time.
it's
Not
crazy.
just here. It's been officially announced, oh yeah, like all these pyramids. There's all this like speculation. Have you guys heard about this theory about like the holograms in the sky, and like they're using the alien announcement to basically broadcast these fake images and holograms in the sky to scare the shit out of the world into like one horrible unified effort? Yeah, like again, man, it's just stuff on the internet that I have no evidence or rational stuff to discuss, but we can discuss the fact that it has been an official announcement that aliens have been here, are here, like probably, yeah, man, like built the pyramids, ancient civilizations before 10,000 years ago in advanced technology, and we're just like skirting over it. You're absolutely right, Doc.
It's crazy. I know
Show.
we gotta go. I know we gotta go.
Aliens,
But
baby.
this is for David though, because David is our national. He is our resident NAPE, like perfect person on NAPE, right? Just for you, David. In 2022, the DODEA, that's the Department of Defense, their schools outperformed all states in reading and mathematics in both 4th and 8th grade on NAPE.
Yeah.
They reduced racial gaps while racial achievement gaps persisted to some extent. The gaps were significantly smaller, and minority student achievement of Black and Brown Hispanic students in DODA schools have previously achieved the highest scores in the nation for their respective demographics and outperformed national average for white students. And their resilience was they maintained high performance during the pandemic, whereas many schools across the nation saw large declines. So that was for you. Yeah. I know that's you're our.
Maybe we can do a show on that too. We got like 4 shows just out of this. Someone write this shit down, man. We got a show on aliens. We got a show on what the DOD is doing. We got a show on all the private colleges closing down. That's 3 shows. Write that down. Those are good shows,
man. Take us out.
Those are
man.
good shows, baby.
Before I find another fun fact to share, take us out, man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the South Star Classroom. I'm your co-host, Omar Yanar. As always, the beard of knowledge, David Castillo, our matriarch, Jubilee Ransom, and our producer, the host of the most, Dr. Charles Cole III. We will be back, ladies and gentlemen, next Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, please take care of each other. Give thanks to our folks in the armed services, and peace.
Peace out, y'all.
Truly, peace.